Hey, Sarah, metal theologian. Yeah, so I was just sent this record not too long ago on the Void label. I've hyped Void in the past. Great stuff. A lot of different types of releases, but they're all interesting. You know, they're all kind of just kind of shit you want to check out, and a lot of stuff that you wouldn't necessarily encounter otherwise. You know, like Easter Island, the prog band from Kentucky, right? Shit like that. So this is the latest one. So this shows up because I didn't tear the shrink wrap off. Fuck this shit. I'll do it for y'all. It's a little loose. I can just pull it off like this. Anyway, this is like a mid-70s rock record. I hadn't heard of the band before. Apparently this is another one of those like sort of mega grails, which is kind of what the Void label specializes in. This is from the mid-70s. I want to say 76, but I might be off. Yeah, and it's Skyeros, I think. Or Skyeros. There's a little thing on the back about how the name describes a compatible state of mystical union. The Isle of Skye, just off the coast of Scotland, is a place where, according to legend, godly beings descend from heaven to instruct and raise the spiritual consciousness of the young inhabitants of the island. And there's a little bit more of it. But this is a really pretty cool rock record, you know? Kind of has a little bit of the hippie leanings a little bit, and it's kind of late for that, you know? But I appreciate that this is like full-on rock, you know what I mean? It's like digested that stuff and sort of incorporated it the sound without, you know, going sort of folky the way, the way a lot of them did at that point in time. That was one reason I had a hard time getting into that hippie shit for most of my life, you know? It's part of why I still call it hippie shit. It's like kind of a joke, but I'm the butt of the joke because I'm the one who didn't get into it until my mid-40s. But I really like shit like The Dead, and I'm really digging the Skyeros album. So yeah, Void Records. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description, but yeah, and if you're ordering shit from them too, check out the fucking Richard Suter record, because that's still my favorite. Even though that one is probably one of the folkier ones, more mellow ones, but just fantastic. Anyway, this is what we're listening to right now. It's going to be a little bit of a mix and match today, because I've been listening to a few different things. A couple little public service announcements, actually. I like doing these. Apparently, this record has finally gotten a reissue. Like, people have told me about it. I've shown this record a few times on this channel. I probably played it a few times. This is the Ironworks pressing, 87. And this is, no shit, one of my very favorite, like, heavy metal records, period. It's, has, like, you know, that whole sort of epic metal aesthetic that I really get into anyway. I mean, they do a cover of Kill the King, so that kind of gives you an idea of what they're striving for, right? You know, this guy's working harder than Dio, but he's hitting the notes, man. So that sort of gives you an idea as far as the style goes. You know what I mean? If you dig shit like Manowar, Manila Road, or something like that, there's nothing not to like about Commander. And really, every song on here is fucking great. So, yeah, apparently, the thing is, this record's hard to find and expensive, frankly. But it's finally gotten reissued. There's a high roller version of it out there. I actually found out because a couple of y'all have messaged me and said, hey, this record's finally out. I can get a reissue now. Like, it's attainable now. And I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Now, someone just needs to do that Raven Bitch record, because that's the other big one that, you know, you just don't see that really needs a reissue. I mean, there are other ones I'd like to see, like Liquid Earth and shit like that. But as far as just, like, records that are just absolute top tier fucking classics that have been out of reach for too many people for too many years, seeing the Commander record get reissued is really, well, I feel great about it, and I have an original, so there you go, you know. Also, took a while for this to come in the mail here, but there's a new Interceptor 45 too, man. How about that cover? Fucking the labels, they're still like, delivering with that shit too. Yeah. That's the back of it. Fucking fantastic. I don't think this was any cheaper than the other one, but it's really good too. I mean, I've always liked Interceptor, but I've really become more and more of a fan as that time has gone on. I mean, when I've seen Interceptor live a couple times, and honestly, man, they sound more like Venom than Venom did when I saw them in the mid-2000s, so what are you gonna do, you know? I hate to pigeonhole the guys, but you know, if this right here is one of your all-time favorite records, as it is mine, there's not much else, man. I mean, even black metal sounds different from this one, you know? And after black metal, they really kind of lost their way a little bit, you know? I mean, there's some good singles and shit, and they had good tracks. That War with Satan was kind of fun. Possessed isn't terrible. I really haven't ventured much beyond that, but, yeah, the fact is, this is just such a fucking classic record, man. There's nothing else that quite sounds like this, except maybe the 45s that came out around the same time, also by Venom. There's a little fucking seam split in the spine. I never noticed that before. I'll go ahead and show the label and the inserts just for grins. Yeah, there's the neat label. And, what the hell, man? Let's show off the inserts, too. I love that the lyric sheet is pink. Fucking Venom. The logo still looks so primitive on there. It's a great logo, though. What a great band name, too. Fucking Venom. You can't beat that, you know? And there's the poster that comes with it, or came with it. It's not really as funny as the one that came with black metal, but it's still kind of, you know, had that sort of primitive charm, I guess. All right, so speaking of primitive charm, or rather not, I have another little discussion topic here, too, which is more about the psychology of record collecting, or maybe it's just psychology of, like, me as a record collector. But it's okay, I'll own it, fuck it. So, let me flip this real quick. So when I sort of rediscovered death metal a few years ago, I'm listening to a fair bit of it lately, sort of got into it and then sort of got off it for a few years and sort of came back, and I'm glad I kept the shit because, you know, I had some stuff around. But one of the ones that I snagged that never did a lot for me was actually this one, which is really highly regarded by a lot of people who generally know their shit, right? But this is the only Atheist record I have. It's their first album. The thing about this is a season of mispressing. This thing had a really nasty seam split at the top. And every time I would pull it out, it would bug me, right? So, like sometime last week or something like that, I was sort of looking at it, trying to figure out, because usually you can't repair that kind of shit, you know what I mean? Like, if you have one of those old cardboard style covers, you can, like, you know, there are ways of, like, gluing it or reinforcing it or that sort of thing. So, with a seam split like this, they're usually just kind of fucked. There's this big, like, white tear. But I sort of looked at it again, and I was like, you know something? It did come off with a big flap, so maybe I can, like, glue that shit back on. And it came off pretty fucking well, actually. Look at that. I mean, you can still see there's damage there, but it's not like, oh, fucking seam split, you know? It's, like it's blinding my ass, you know what I mean? It's just sort of like, oh, yeah, it's a little flaw in the thing, and that sort of thing. So, why am I telling you all this? Because ever since I fixed it, I like the record a lot better. And that's the funny psychology thing. The record's no fucking different. You know, I should be able to just listen to the record regardless of what kind of shape the cover's in. But I can't, you know? And I guess maybe this is like the flip side. You know, I spend a lot of time talking about covers that I think are good. You know, this one's kind of mediocre, you know? It's not bad. It's a good cover, but, you know, it's not like... You know, it's not like this. You put a record with a cover like this, my wallet pretty much instantly comes out, you know? And, you know, metal covers tend to be pretty good, too, you know? So there's a lot of competition on that front. Yeah, anyway, you know, you want to be the sort of person who goes, oh, yeah, I care about the music, you know what I mean, whatever else, but there's certain things that's funny, because, like, I can have a record that's pretty scratched up, it doesn't bother me a bit, you know? But that, I mean, seam splits are kind of my bane anyway. They're the bane of a lot of us, I think. But, you know, they bother me more than other types of record damage. Like, little sticker tear rarely bothers me, you know, like they're like little pinholes or someone like put it on their wall. I don't really care, you know. But that really bugged the fuck out of me to the point where it actually, like, impeded my ability to enjoy the record. Which is really silly if you think about it in any, like, you know, sort of rational way. But there it is, you know. So if you do the same thing, solidarity, man. So yeah, Atheist is good. Nowhere near as good as Commander. But I've been digging that Atheist record a lot more. And there are a few others here. I don't feel like I have a whole lot of intelligence to say about this stuff. I've really just kind of been listening to it and enjoying it, you know? See those Herakleon records I showed last time? They're just still sitting over there. Oh, this is another one that I've come to appreciate a lot, actually. I had this for a while. I sort of got this to towards the end of my first kick and didn't really digest it. But on this latest death metal kick, I've been playing this Amorphous record kind of a lot. The Karelian Isthmus. Yeah, just a solid fucking record, man. Like, I mean, it's definitely death metal, but it's not just like all sort of punch. You know, like Deicide is sort of what the standard in my head. That first Deicide record is just like perfect, you know? This isn't like that, right? This one's a lot more sort of grandiose in sort of scope and that. I'm trying to say epic, because I don't know if I'd use the word epic to describe this. But it's sort of bigger in concept, and it delivers, you know what I mean? It's not going to dethrone Deicide for me anytime soon, you know? But that doesn't mean it isn't a really fucking good record that I like have been enjoying a lot. So there's that. I've been a little bit all over the place, though. In fact, I pulled this one out to listen to the other day. I have a few here I can talk about. This one might surprise some of you. Yeah. It's here. There's actually another Stones record around here somewhere, I think, too. Oh, yeah. I would I go to all this trouble to find the fucking thing, except that some of you might not believe I have these records. What's with the cardboard? What Stones record might I put a cardboard thing in front of so it doesn't fuck up my own records, my other records? Why, this one, of course. I actually like Beggar's Banquet a lot more than this one. My favorite Stones records are probably Beggar's Banquet, Let It Bleed, and probably Get Your Yayas Out, which I still think is a great live record. This is a very cool record, too. I kind of wish I still had a copy of Exile on Main Street, but that was one that I never really got into, so that'd be more to sort of challenge myself than just sort of scratch the Stones itch, you know what I mean? So. But yeah, you know, I like to talk about obscure shit and lesser known shit, but you know. The canon is canonical for a reason. Well, for a lot of, for the most part. There's some exceptions. Fucking Fleetwood Mac. I don't know if that's really canon though anyway, you know, it's more just like some fucking bullshit that was a really good band until like they went total pop. Like they were a really good blues rock band. And it's funny because actually after watching Vinyl Richie's last video, I like had a fucking irresistible urge. I had to go out and buy this. I have like no blues records, okay? But I went out and got this. I actually just got this today and I love it. In fact, inspired by that, here I'm going to show you what my whole blues collection right now, okay? As of, what time is it? As of about 12 hours ago, this was my whole blues collection. One Blind Willie Johnson record. I've always loved Blind Willie Johnson. And when I first was like, you know, getting into blues stuff a little bit, God, I was still in my 20s, and I kind of gave up on it just because most of it just didn't really get me going, you know what I mean? It's I've always loved Blind Willie Johnson, like I said. Most of the shit that I listened to then was more like sort of the country blues and that. Like, even like Muddy Waters and B.B. King were like way too late for me. Like, I wasn't really interested in anything after like 1940, maybe even 1930, you know? So it's like Blind Willie Johnson and Charlie Patton and Blind Lemon Jefferson, and Washington Phillips is kind of a cool, like, weird one to find. But anyway, the only one, you know, I had a lot of that shit on CD. I got rid of all my CDs 25 years ago now. So I went out and got this one at some point just because I needed to have some Blind Willie Johnson in the house. And as of today, I went to the record store and with some sage advice from a friend who doesn't have a channel but comments on a lot of your videos. Yeah, I went for this one, for the Howlin' Wolf, right? And I asked him for a couple other suggestions, and because I walked out with this John Lee Hooker, I couldn't believe how much ZZ Top sounds like this, honestly. Like, I knew that ZZ Top's early records, especially the first couple, were totally blues-based. I mean, it's fucking obvious, right? But listening to this, I was like, Jesus, ZZ Top was even more on the nose with that shit than I realized, you know what I mean? I mean, in like little ways too, like the nuances, like the vocal, some of the vocal like quirks and that sort of thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's funny. I want to say what's not like a direct imitation or the same thing. His deep voice was inimitable. Well, I don't know. I guess ZZ Top tried, but they made their own fucking really good records anyway. I love ZZ Top. So anyway, that one, and then this one, which is fantastic too. I'd never heard of Skip James before earlier today. This guy's really the unusual singing style. There's a lot of falsetto, which I can see might turn a lot of people off. Like you guys who hate King Diamond because of the falsetto, I don't know if you'd like this Skip James record very much. But I think it's really good and really interesting too, and a different sort of sound. And again, it's mid-60s, you know? I mean, he's an older guy than that. They sort of went back and recorded it then, but it's late by the standards that I had originally sort of held to early on when I was checking this stuff out, so... I don't know how long I'm going to stay interested in this stuff, but I kind of hope it's a while because I'd like to learn more about this stuff. It's really a whole sort of style of music that I never really dug that deep into, you know? I mean, I dug deep enough that I could drop a couple names, but I also worked at a record store for a few years, you know, so... You know, you do that, it's not hard to learn, okay, Robert Johnson, good, Robert Cray, not so good, you know what I mean? That doesn't really mean I know anything about it, though. Yeah, though I'm really digging the blues shit. I'll show this just because I'm always listening to a little bit of Blue Oyster Cult. But I've talked about that one so much. Yeah, it's funny. I sort of felt myself going in that direction because I was listening to a lot of soul jazz. I didn't have any blues, right? So, yeah, a few of these here. Like that Lou Donaldson one I just showed. This is a really cool one. The Natural Soul is probably the first Lou Donaldson record I would recommend. That's the one that got me going on Lou Donaldson. Like prior to that, I didn't think a whole lot of him. I checked that one out, fell in love with it, and then went and listened to some of the other ones, like Blues Walk, that I actually had sitting there but never pulled out. And I really like that, and I really like this one too. It's a little bit of a rough copy, but I don't know of any reissues of this one that you're gonna just sort of come across the shop. So, you know, this old vinyl plays fine anyway, man. Yeah, you see like this ring wear and shit? That almost never bothers me. But a seam split that's like all fucked up looking, oh, it drives me fucking crazy. This Rusty Bryant was another good one. I don't hear a lot of talk about Rusty Bryant either, too. It's funny, because I assumed that Rusty Bryant was a woman because of Rusty Warren, right? It doesn't really, I mean, I was going to say it doesn't make any sense. I guess it does make sense, but I didn't really think about it very much until, you know, I was like, oh shit, you know, I guess, yeah. Anyway, this is a really cool one. Heavy on the Organ, which is Leon Spencer. I love Leon Spencer. Like, I'll buy a record just because Leon Spencer's on it. So, there you go. Just awesome, like, jazz organist. And, you know, just some electronic, not like electronic shit. I don't set a false expectation. But he did a lot more with the keyboards than like a Jimmy Smith did, say, who was just like the organ, and that was sort of the sound. You know what I mean? Probably because there's better technology available to him. I mean, Leon Spencer came around a lot later. Well, he's great on this Rusty Bryant record. And this isn't a pure soul jazz record like the Lou Donaldson, but if you don't like soul jazz at all, you're probably not going to like this Rusty Bryant record. I'll just show these other ones real quick too. This is probably my favorite Big John Patton record. I try to reach for other ones to mix it up a little bit, but I always end up reaching for this one. Fucking Hot Sauce, man. It's one of my favorite things ever. That's like one of the tunes that got me going on soul jazz. When I first got into jazz, I wasn't really interested in that aspect of it. It just kind of sounded like, you know, the same old blues progressions, whatever. I also didn't like vibes. I also didn't like guitar. Everything that I didn't like in jazz when I first got into jazz, I eventually came around on, so... And actually, part of that, too, is George Braith playing two horns at once. Because I actually had a George Braith record that I got. When I go getting into jazz, you could find a lot of these Scorpio reissues for like $10. So I'll just go out and buy a few things that look cool and just take them home and check them out just to learn about it, you know? So I actually it's probably right here. couple George Braith records now, but yeah, I got this one. And I was like, that's some bullshit, man. What the fuck? Who did that guy fucking think he's kidding with this shit? And then, like, I got into this stuff, and I came back to this, I was like, oh, this record's actually fantastic. I just didn't appreciate it, you know, because, I don't know, man, because I had to, like, learn about it and grow a little bit. I'm not sure this one, because it's another one where, the cover just instantly sells it for me. Fantastic record. I love Freddie Roach anyway. I've never heard a bad Freddie Roach record. So, again, a jazz organist. And this next one, actually, I want to hype just a little bit because I don't think people talk about Leo Parker enough. And this is a fantastic record, man. Like, this is like a top 5 soul jazz record for me. And it's on Blue Note. He made 2 records on Blue Note. And for some reason, like, every time they're doing a bunch of reissues, they're doing, you know, they're doing Maiden Voyage again. They're doing Blue Train again and shit like that. No one ever fucking talks about Leo Parker, you know? So Leo Parker wasn't John Coltrane. But nobody was John Coltrane, you know? Leo Parker did a fantastic job of being Leo Parker. And he's a baritone sax player, which you don't hear a whole lot either. And I have a soft spot for baritone sax. Baritone sax and bass clarinet, like Eric Dolphy wins me over in no time at all. Anyway, check this shit out if you get a chance. His other record's really good too, but this is my favorite. This is the one that got me going on him. And I really only know about the 2. He might have done more for some other labels for all I know, but he did 2 for Blue Note, and they're both awesome. What else do we have here? Here's one. I haven't pulled this out. Actually, I don't know if I've ever shown this one before. Fucking Black Mass by Death SS. I've listened to a lot of Italian metal, like to the degree that I've listened to metal. Like, where's that fucking Vanexo record? Yeah, this one's sitting right here. Actually, I haven't played this yet. I pulled it up to listen to, but it's been a little bit of a kick with the Italian shit, you know. I listened to this one again the other night too. Bazooka, one of my favorite band names ever. Awesome. Especially because this was actually sung in Italian too. That sort of makes it a little bit extra low budget. But it gives it so much charm, dude. Fucking, you know, this is not the greatest thing ever. But that's actually the point. Like, Death SS is one of the Italian bands that's, you know, to a greater or lesser degree, highly regarded. I suppose it depends on how you look at it and who you ask, because they're still a little bit, you know, funny. I mean, look at those fucking guys. This wasn't just before, not this record, but they were painting their faces like that, not just before, like, fucking Mayhem and that. They're doing it before King Diamond, you know? So this is actually 89, though. Like, their first record was a posthumous compilation, The Story of Death SS. And then they put out In Death of Steve Sylvester, and then this one, Black Mass, which is a really good record. I mean, they redid a lot of the songs from the earlier days and sort of the reinterpretations. It can sometimes just make me want to hear the older versions because they're kind of sloppier and more raw. The musicianship definitely improved. But these records are still just brimming over with charm, man. And if you don't know Death SS, do yourself a favor. Start with The Story of Death SS. But Black Mass is a fucking solid record, too, man. So how's that for a little bit of variety? You know, usually it's like, okay, I'm on this kick now. Here's what we're going to talk about today. See what else we got sitting here. Yeah, I mean, Jesus. I've really been all over the place. You know? It even has that song Cars on it. But I don't know, man. I have a soft spot for cheesy sounding synths that I didn't have back in the 80s. Now, I think some of that might just be like distance in time. You know, like, I don't use the word nostalgia because I don't think it is nostalgia because I really don't romanticize the fucking 80s at all. There's a lot that sucked about the 80s. Like most of the fucking popular music. You know, metal was great in the 80s, but fucking half that shit, people are like, oh, MTV, like 80% of the shit they played on MTV was just fucking garbage. And maybe not that much, but half of it probably was. Trying to figure out what to put on it. You know, I'm just gonna put on fucking Commander for a minute. Because this record's so good. I pulled out the insert. Good old Ironworks label. A surprisingly small label logo on it, really. Yeah, this one's so great. I don't know how many, High Roller tends to do small batches of things, but then sort of redo them from time to time. I'd say don't snooze on this one, though. If you're watching this channel, you're probably going to dig this record. You might not dig Rusty Bryant, but you're probably going to dig Commander. You know, I actually played this one a few times, too. But this one's growing on me, too. You know, I mean, I've never hated King Diamond's solo stuff. This record got so much hype when it came out. I remember it got perfect scores in Metal Hammer magazine and stuff. They were using, at least in the German one, they had a 7-point scale. And this was a 7 out of 7, you know? I'm still not quite sure I'd put it that high in my own sort of, mental pantheon. But it really is a good record, man. I mean, the main thing is I don't really give a crap about the story, you know? I just want to hear the music, you know? So if that's what you're in it for or something, it might have been lost on me a little bit, Yeah, here's another one. These guys are actually playing here kind of soon. I'm looking forward to seeing them. But, this is probably my favorite of the later Pentagram records. Look, I think the most important Pentagram shit is really the 70s stuff. Their albums they put out in the 80s are very good. And then, after about 1990 or something like that, people sort of figured out that, the American Black Sabbath had been one of the most obscure bands out there for, 20 years. Maybe it was time to change that. So, there's some old songs redone on this, like Forever My Queen and Living in a Ram's Head. Review your choices, obviously. But, the song on this that really stands out for me is The Diver. Which I remember someone actually put a compilation tape for me a long time ago. I was like, fuck, this is good. When is this from? It was this recent-ass Pentagram record. I was like, holy shit, they're still that good? Maybe I shouldn't be snoozing on that shit. Trying to chase down old 45s and shit, Yeah, anyway. If I were going to recommend Pentagram records like LPs, I'd probably say the first one and then this one, First one, also known as Relentless. Depending on which version you have. Yeah, I think that might be about all I've got for today. Let me see if there's anything else in here I want to show. This one got a few comments from the last video. It does play this Veto record and kind of hyping it. This is not the greatest thing ever, but it's a lot better than I expected it to be, because I expected it to be 60% suck and 40% good. And there's probably more like 60% good and 40% suck. And you know something? I can totally fucking hang with that. I've got no problem with a band that kind of sucks. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for now. Yeah. So, got some jazz, you got some blues, you got the Stones, you got some death metal, we got some epic metal like this. I don't know, it's not very often I make a video that's as sort of shotgun as this one, but hey man, you gotta roll with it. That's why music's great, because there's so much of it. You keep learning and learning your whole fucking life and never run out of shit. So, I appreciate that every day, and I hope you do too. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.